Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day I bid to all of you. How are you doing today? I hope all of you are doing fine. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Mr. Kamal Zairi bin Muhammad Zakaria from SPP Integrasi Gopek. In this short video, I will share with all of you a few tips and techniques of answering SPM Speaking Test or SPM English 1119/3, specifically on Part 2 Individual Long Term. Before that, let us take a peek on the content standards, learning standards, and the objectives of Part 2 Individual Long Term.
Okay, as you can see, the content standards for the part of the test as stated in the SKP is to communicate appropriately to a small or large group on familiar topics, while the learning standards is on candidates to explain the main points of an idea or argument. Okay, and as for the objectives, this part of test actually is aiming for candidates to explain and justify own feelings or those of others, and secondly, to explain the main points of an idea or an argument. Okay, so basically, as stated here, the main aim of this part of test is to assess your ability to communicate appropriately through explaining your ideas or arguments on familiar topics. To put it in a simple way, okay, it tested on how far you can explain about something that you know. Okay, so that is all about content standards, learning standards, and objectives. So now, let's proceed to the tips and techniques. Let's roll out. First of all, how the test is carried out. As you can see, it is done in pairs that consist of candidate A and B. Each candidate will be given a different topic cards, so you will not get the same question as your partners. Next is the list of possible types of questions to be asked in the test. Firstly, questions asked are closely related to learners or candidates. It means questions asked will be something that you have knowledge or have experience with, such as a celebration, going for holiday, doing chores, and etc. Then, WH questions are provided as a guide to the candidates. You actually do not have to think about what WH questions to use since it is given. All you have to do is to answer the given questions and all is done. Lastly, is about what you are required of when answering the questions. You have to share your personal experience or to speculate things. You may also be asked to provide reasons for a certain situation or to share your feelings or likes and dislikes. These are all depends on the questions asked. Next, let's take a look at the language input. Firstly, on vocabulary. In this part of language proficiency, the questions are mainly require you to have apt vocabulary to describe people, place or situation. Then, when it comes to expressing your feelings, actions or experience, you are advised to use past tense instead of present tense. Why? By using past tense, your feelings or actions will be more realistic. Same goes when you give speculation about something. Do use future tense because it is something that is yet to happen. For example, you are predicting of what will happen if you do not prepare for exam. You can predict that you will fail the exam. Lastly, when giving opinions, do use present tense because opinion is happening in the current time. Okay, now let's look at the time allocation for this part. As you can see, overall time takes between 3 to 4 minutes only, but it can be one of the longest 4 minutes of your life. Once you are given the question, you will be given only 20 seconds to prepare for your task presentation. Each candidate will be given the same amount of preparation time. Okay? The duration for you to speak is between 1 to 2 minutes. Quite short, isn't it? But if you are not properly prepared, that 2 minutes could be felt like 20 minutes. So, be prepared for it, okay? Dear students, as I have mentioned earlier, Part 2 of the speaking test is known as the individual long term. Here, you will be given a booklet with a topic and asked to talk about it for a minute. This part is when you will be alone because the examiner will try not to prompt you in your delivery unless it is needed to do so. The examiner will use a timer to time your long term, and before you start, you will have only 20 seconds to prepare for your topic. When you are asked to start speaking, especially in a test as big as SPM, it is very common for many to feel stressed about what to say and how to say it without any encouragement or prompting. So, the first step to performing better is learning how to deal with nerves. You can deal with it through practice, and you need to do it on your own. Do not depend solely on your English teacher to conduct practice session for you. At the same time, you can also explore and try things to help you be prepared and succeed. Now, let's have a look at some tips and techniques of dealing with it. Well, here is some guidelines on how to score in Part 2. Bear in mind, this is not called guidelines for no reason. It is, in other words, a suggestion on how you face the Part 2 speaking test. It all depends on you and your preparation for it. Okay, the first tip is to answer all the given WH questions. Make them as your point to talk on. Actually, you don't have to think about points to talk. Just use the given WH questions and you are safe to go. Number 2, organize your speech. How to do it? It's easy actually. Just follow the order of the given WH questions and your speech is already organized. Easy, right? Tips number 3 is for you to share only things that are related to the questions. In other words, mention only relevant experience, feelings, likes or dislikes. As for number 4, it is on opinions. Do give only opinions that are relevant or related to the questions. Avoid talking about something that has nothing to do with the questions. Last tip is on being confident. This can be gained through regular practices, alone or with friends. If you are confident, the possibility of stuttering or groping forwards will be smaller. So, start practice today. After we have gone through the tips to score for the Part 2 speaking test, let's now proceed to the strategies that you may use when you sit for this test. Look at the first strategy, that is to fully utilize the 20 seconds preparation time. How to fully utilize it? Yes, by answering the WH questions as I have mentioned in the previous slide. The 20 seconds is actually enough, but you have to practice a lot to familiarize yourself in utilizing the 20 seconds. Second strategy is to speak with normal speech rate, neither too fast nor too slow. Here are some tips on how to do it. The first tip is by using stalling phrases. For example, what else can I say about that? Well, so actually, when you are doing this, you are buying some time to restructure your sentences or to find something that you are searching for or to get new ideas. Tip number 2. Refer directly to your questions in the booklet. Read out the prompt, changing the structure as you read it. For example, and what did I use it for? Well, that's interesting. I use it for, this is the same as the first tip, a technique of buying some time so that you can regain your speaking structure. Third tip, if the examiner is pausing and waiting for you to keep speaking, acknowledge that you still have more time left. You may say like, oh, I still have more time left. Well, to describe my point in more detail, it is quite large and so on and so forth. Doing this will help your presentation not to stop abruptly and will gain the interest of the examiner. Tip number 4. Avoid fillers. As they are meaningless and show that you are struggling to produce language and ideas. This is very common things to happen during speaking tests, and the best way overcoming it is through tip 1 and tip 2 that I have just shared, that is by practicing. And the last tip for strategy 2 is to use hesitation devices to show that you can use a wider range of cohesive devices and can think logically. For example, well, let me think. Let's see. It was a long time ago, but another thing I remember about it was that reminds me about another time that I, and etc. Doing this will help your presentation to have a smooth flow. For strategy 3, okay, it is actually the same as in tip number 2 of scoring in part 2 on how to score that I have mentioned earlier. Okay. Organizing what to say can be easily done if you follow the WH questions given in your topic card. As for strategy 4, it is a strategy that I have said many times since the beginning of this video. Practice will familiarize you with the technique. Practice will help you to overcome nervousness. Practice will enable you finding your weaknesses and then overcoming it. So, practice makes perfect. Start practicing and you will see a positive outcome for you.
That is all on the tips and techniques of answering Part 2 Individual Long-Term English SPM Speaking Test. Now, let's watch a sample video on Part 2 Individual Long-Term. This video is shared by the Lembaga Peperiksaan Malaysia. While watching this video, please look at the procedure of test, the way the candidates answered the questions, and lastly, look at the organization of ideas by both candidates. Let's roll out.
Thank you. In this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it on your own for about a minute. You also need to answer a question briefly about your partner's topic. Amina, it's your turn first. Here's your task. I'd like you to talk about a family celebration you had recently. First, you have some time to think about what you're going to say. All right, you may start now.
The family celebration I just had recently was actually Eid Mubarak, which was last May. What I did there was we cooked nasi dagang with the whole family. We talked together, and we also took some pictures. I did enjoy myself there because I love being with my family. And for me, family celebrations are important in Malaysia because family bonds are everything after all. And I think that family need to get to know each other better and get used to each other.
Thank you. Alia, what was the last celebration you had? Did you have a good time? Why?
The last time I had a celebration was actually my birthday. Me and my family had dinner at one of my favorite restaurants, and I enjoyed myself because I was able to indulge myself in small chats with my family.
Thank you. Amina, can I have the booklet, please? Now, Alia, here's your task. I'd like you to talk about a person you admire. First, you have some time to think about what you're going to say. All right, you may start now.
The person I admire is my mother. I think that she is a very responsible and a very hardworking person, and I find that I can rely myself on her a lot because she knows a lot of things about topics. And I also think it is important for people to have a good role model in order for people to learn and to learn to have better character and better growth for themselves to expand into their life.
Thank you. Amina, who do you admire?
The person I admire is actually Kim Namjoon, or also known as RM from the group BTS. I admire him because he has a really good sense of leadership, and I love how caring he is for when he taking care of his members, and that inspired me a lot.
Thank you. Alia, can I have the booklet, please?
Dear students, the video shown is based on the actual format of SPM Speaking Test. It can be good guidance for all of you. Okay, let's now take a look at Amina's score. Okay, so she managed to get 5 for grammar, 6 for vocabulary, and 5 and 6 for communicative competence, and as well as overall spoken performance respectively. As you can read, comments given by the LPM has put her as a high achiever. She can communicate with a good degree of accuracy, and good control of a range of simple and some complex grammatical structures. She can also use a range of cohesive devices. She is able to convey specific differences in meaning through appropriate choice of vocabulary. She can express herself spontaneously and easily initiate and develop her speech well. Okay, now let's take a look at Alia fair in her test. She managed to get 5 marks for grammar and 6 in the other 3 criteria. She is also a high achiever with a score slightly higher than Amina. She is able to show a high degree of grammatical accuracy and has a good command of a wide range of grammatical structures. She is organized in her speech with wide range of cohesive devices and connectors. She is very good in choosing appropriate vocabulary to show her knowledge about the topic. She talks with ease and able to maintain and develop effective response to the topic. Okay, students, we as teachers really hope that all of you will be able to deliver as good as this. Perhaps by practicing frequently, you will be able to be as good as them.
Dear students, we hope this short video is able to give a clear picture to all of you on Part 2 Individual Long-Term SPM Speaking Test. Perhaps all the tips and techniques that has been shared throughout this short video are useful in helping you facing the test. I, on behalf of SBP Integrasi Gopeng's English Language Panel, would like to apologize for any shortcomings in this video. Lastly, before we end up this video, I would like all of you to ponder on this old proverb that is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can make him to drink. We, teachers, can always provide you with favorable circumstances, but we are not able to force you to do it. With that, I thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a nice day.